Hey guys, tonight we're going to drift slowly into some of the most convincing alien theories ever whispered across ancient stone, radio waves, and the deep currents of thought that keep us wondering. What if we're not just being watched but remembered? You're about to hear 20 of the most quietly unsettling and beautifully plausible alien theories told softly, in one seamless journey designed to help you fall gently asleep. If this kind of content helps you relax, please subscribe, like the video, and leave your favourite alien theory in the comments. I'd love to read what keeps you dreaming. Now let's begin with a theory as old as time and carved into the bones of our earliest cities, the echoes of ancient contact. There are monuments on Earth that do not whisper, they resonate. Massive stones chiselled and placed with such precision that even modern engineers shake their heads. Places like Göbekli Tepe, older than the pyramids, emerging from the Anatolian earth with carved beings that seem to stare not at the sky but through it. Or Puma Punku in Bolivia, with stone blocks shaped like interlocking puzzles made from diorite, a rock so hard it would require diamond tools, and yet it was shaped by people who officially had no metal tools at all. These structures do not scream alien, but they hum with something that doesn't feel native. What if, some ask, they are not merely relics of forgotten humans, but gifts, blueprints left by beings who came not to rule but to seed memory? The theory goes deeper than UFOs in the sky. It suggests that these ancient monuments were placed deliberately along global ley lines, energetic highways that connect sacred sites across the world in geometric harmony. And at the centre of this web, a code, mathematical, celestial, symbolic, pointing not inward to human culture, but outward to the stars. The Great Pyramid, for instance, is not only aligned to true north within a fraction of a degree, it also mirrors the constellation Orion in both structure and myth. The ancient Egyptians associated Osiris, the god of the afterlife, with Orion and the soul's journey with stars. But how did they know this? The mainstream answer is guesswork, trial and error. But some theorists suggest an older contact, a time when visitors from another star system, perhaps Orion or Sirius, walked among us, guiding early civilizations to encode their wisdom in stone. They didn't build the monuments themselves necessarily, but they taught the geometry, the alignments, the resonance frequencies, and then they left, allowing humans to grow around these planted memories like vines around scaffolding. The ancient Sumerians wrote of the Anunnaki, sky gods who descended in fiery craft. The Mayans recorded star people descending on beams of light. Aboriginal Australians speak of the Wandjina, spirit beings with large dark eyes and pale skin who came from the clouds. These stories are dismissed as myth, but myths have always been memory wrapped in metaphor. Perhaps what we've forgotten isn't the aliens themselves, but the language they used. A language not of words, but of shapes, angles and alignments. A form of communication through landscape and monument. Some researchers believe the angles between the pyramids in Egypt, the Nazca lines in Peru, and the stone spheres in Costa Rica all map out constellations, or even corridors in the sky. Were these landing markers, energy receivers, or simply messages carved across Earth's crust for other travellers to see? What makes this theory more convincing to some is the global repetition. Similar motifs, similar gods, similar sky worship, arising in cultures that supposedly never met. Feathered serpents in Mesoamerica, sky boats in Egypt, giants from the sky in India's Vedic texts. Could they all have been remembering the same visitors, filtered through their own local mythologies? As you lie back now, let your mind drift to the warm stone of ancient temples, the quiet hum of forgotten frequencies, the stars slowly wheeling overhead like the gears of a vast machine. If alien visitors did come in our ancient past, They did not leave behind spacecraft or weapons. They left puzzles, echoes, and shadows carved into stone. And maybe, just maybe, when you stand before those stones and place your palm on the ancient surface, what you're feeling isn't just history, but a memory not your own, a message still waiting to be heard. Our next theory is known as the moon is not what it seems, and it begins with the quiet sense that our closest celestial neighbour may not be a lifeless rock at all, but something far more deliberate and far less natural than we have ever truly considered. For decades, the moon has watched over us like a sentinel, always showing the same face, always whispering tides to the oceans below, always perfectly placed to create solar eclipses that defy coincidence. It is, in fact, one of the most improbably perfect satellites in the known universe. The odds that the moon would be just the right size and distance to exactly cover the sun during an eclipse, not too big, not too far, are infinitesimal, and yet here it is. What if that perfect positioning is not random? What if the moon was placed, not formed by cosmic accident, but inserted intentionally into Earth's orbit to stabilise the planet and monitor its evolution? This idea, known as the artificial moon hypothesis, has been quietly circulating in academic and fringe circles for years, and it begins with sound. During several Apollo missions, astronauts reported something peculiar after placing seismic sensors on the lunar surface. When spent modules crashed into the moon, it rang like a bell, reverberating for hours, as if hollow. This isn't how solid planetary bodies are supposed to behave. Could the moon be a shell? A construct? A vessel? Some suggest it may be a Dyson-like object, not a full sphere of energy-harvesting panels, but a controlled structure housing observation equipment or ancient technology from an alien intelligence that once, or still does, watch us. Others believe it could be a long-abandoned ship parked in orbit eons ago by starfarers who terraformed Earth as a kind of experimental cradle. In ancient texts, the moon is conspicuously absent. Some older myths, like those of the Zulu people or even certain Mesopotamian records, speak of a time before the moon existed, as though it were a later arrival. The Sumerians, always precise in their star maps, speak of Nana, a moon deity associated not just with light, but control. If the moon is artificial, then its role may be more than gravitational. It may be psychological, cultural, perhaps even spiritual. What if the moon was designed to not just balance Earth's rotation, but to shape the myths, cycles, and beliefs of the species below it? Consider how deeply the moon has shaped humanity, our calendars, our rituals, our dreams. It's as if something wanted us to notice it, but only subconsciously. The craters, too, seem wrong. They're often uniformly shallow regardless of size, as if there's a hard surface beneath the dust, preventing deep impact. Some researchers propose that an artificial shell could be beneath a thin layer of rock and dust, disguised well enough to pass visual inspection, but quietly betraying its origins and its unnatural properties. Of course, this theory is difficult to prove, but that's the beauty of it, because the moon does not shout. It waits, it watches, it keeps secrets. As you close your eyes and imagine that pale orb hanging in the dark velvet sky, imagine it not as a dead stone, but a softly glowing eye, placed perfectly above us. Maybe it has been watching since long before we knew we were worth watching. Maybe, as the ancients believed, the moon is a mirror, not just of sunlight, but of something deeper. Maybe, just maybe, it's the oldest artifact we've ever seen, and it's always been right there, quietly circling, waiting for us to finally ask what it really is. Let's now explore a quietly unnerving idea called the binary code in our DNA, a theory that suggests human life may not have evolved alone, but may have been written, like a message in a bottle, drifting in genetic tides. Beneath our skin, inside every cell, lies DNA. a molecular script composed of 4 repeating chemical letters, A, T, C, and G. These form the language of life as we know it, encoding the instruction for everything we are. But what if buried in that code is something more, something non-random? Researchers have discovered patterns in human DNA that resemble structured information, mathematical symmetry, repeating sequences, even formations that mirror binary logic, ones and zeros. Not all DNA is used to build the body. Vast regions are non-coding, once called junk. But what if some of that so-called junk is not accidental at all, but a kind of embedded signal? One theory, called the biological SETI, proposes that an advanced extraterrestrial civilization may have implanted intelligent patterns into the DNA of early life forms, not just on Earth, but across the galaxy. It would be the perfect hiding place. Unlike radio waves, DNA travels, it replicates, it survives extinctions, and it's present in every living cell. If you were an ancient alien race trying to send a timeless message to emerging intelligent species, you wouldn't build monuments of stone. You'd write your message inside the biology itself. Some scientists have noticed numerical relationships within DNA that align suspiciously with universal constants, numbers that govern physics, not just biology. Prime numbers, Fibonacci sequences, even numerical ratios that align with geometric principles used in architecture and cosmic structure. These do not prove alien design, but they raise the question, why would biological evolution independently develop code that looks like language? Perhaps we didn't evolve it. Perhaps we inherited it. The geneticist Vladimir Sherbak and his colleague Maxim Makukov published a paper proposing that DNA contains a precision-type order that cannot be explained by known natural processes. They suggest it may be a bio-coded artifact, one that could only have been designed. Critics call it pseudoscience, but the paper remains quietly unsettling in academic databases. Ancient myths across cultures speak of gods or star beings who breathed life into humans, or mixed the blood of the gods with the clay of the earth. These poetic origins begin to sound strangely scientific when considered alongside this theory, as if ancient people remembered the genetic alteration, but described it in the only language they had. There is also a fascinating link to the number 37, a mathematical oddity that shows up repeatedly in the structure of amino acids, the building blocks of life. Why 37? No one knows, but in number theory it's considered a prime anchor, and in some theories may represent a kind of digital watermark left by alien engineers. What's most remarkable is the idea that such a message would not even require us to discover it quickly. The message could sit dormant for millennia until a species like us learned to read its own code, and even then, the message may not be words but architecture, a kind of biological user interface waiting to be unlocked. Perhaps dreams, intuition, even art are fragments of a deeper system running beneath our awareness. Perhaps our creativity is not random but part of that program, designed to slowly awaken us. As you lay here drifting deeper, imagine that your very body is carrying something older than Earth, something that did not begin here, something placed softly, gently, with immense patience. Maybe our evolution wasn't random after all. Maybe we were meant to reach a point where we'd look inward and find not chaos, but code, not an accident, but a signature. Maybe, deep inside your cells, someone is still saying hello. This next theory is called the sleeping giants beneath Antarctica, and it drifts like a cold breath across the silence of ancient ice, suggesting that something immense, something not of this world, lies buried far beneath the frozen continent, waiting for a time we may never fully understand. Antarctica, for most of human history, has been a place of mystery, untouched, uninhabited, wrapped in miles of ice and wind. But in recent decades, whispers have emerged from researchers, military insiders, and classified expeditions claiming that deep under the surface lie structures, not geological, but geometric, massive, regular, unnaturally shaped. The theory suggests that millions of years ago, long before humanity walked upright, Antarctica was not a frozen wasteland, but a lush, temperate zone, a thriving cradle that may have housed the last remnants of an ancient alien civilization, or the final resting place of something older. Satellite imagery has shown strange formations, hexagonal patterns beneath the ice, long linear ridges that resist natural explanation, and even symmetrical domes buried under glacial sheets. In 2016, claims surfaced that several world leaders and religious figures, including a high-ranking Vatican official, visited secret installations in Antarctica. No explanation was given, and the trips were curiously underreported. Some believe these visits were connected to the uncovering of what ancient texts describe as the giants who sleep beneath the world. These giants, in this theory, are not myth, but fossilized or preserved alien beings, potentially placed in cryogenic stasis, protected by the very ice that now hides them. Could Antarctica be an interstellar vault, a quarantine zone, or something more esoteric, a prison for fallen beings? Some researchers point to Admiral Richard Byrd's secretive expedition in 1947, known as Operation High Jump. Though officially a scientific mission, it involved thousands of troops, aircraft, and military equipment. Byrd later spoke cryptically of flying craft that could move from pole to pole at incredible speeds. His words were dismissed but never retracted. The theory continues with tales of magnetic anomalies, areas of Antarctica where compasses spin erratically and radar fails to penetrate. These may be natural, or they may be shielding something hidden below. Some even suggest that ancient alien technology lies beneath the ice, vast machines or power sources too dangerous or too sacred to unearth. Curiously, in 2002, the Antarctic ice sheet revealed a crater more than 300 miles wide, the size of Ohio, beneath the surface. Scientists believe it could be from a massive impact 250 million years ago, but others believe it's not an impact at all, but a buried structure collapsed in time. Indigenous legends from South America, especially among the Patagonian tribes, speak of gods who fled to the land of endless cold and sealed themselves in light. They promised to return, not in fire, but in silence. Perhaps that silence now lies beneath 2 miles of ice. As you breathe gently now, let your mind drift to that frozen continent, untouched and vast, where winds howl like voices remembering. Imagine a great door beneath the ice. A door made not of stone, but of something smooth, seamless, humming with Perhaps the earth holds its greatest secret there, not to keep us out, but to protect us, or to wait until we are ready, not for contact, but for memory, for the moment when the sleeping giants stir again, not to conquer, but to remind us that we were never alone, only dreaming in the presence of something far older than time. This next idea is called Time Travelers from Zeta Reticuli, and it gently bends the rules of everything we think we understand about space, time, and the beings we call the Greys. Most of us are familiar with the classic depiction, the large black almond eyes, the pale grey skin, the fragile limbs, and the eerie emotionless expression. But what if these beings aren't just visitors from another star system? What if they are us from a distant future, reaching back across the world?
Centuries for reasons we are only beginning to comprehend. The theory suggests that the Greys originate not from some far-off planet in the Zeta Reticuli system, though that binary star system, nearly 39 light-years away, has long been linked to alien lore, but rather from a version of Earth thousands or even millions of years in the future, where humanity has changed beyond recognition. In this future, we have evolved or devolved into fragile, efficient beings, having sacrificed physical strength and mental capacity, emotional range for technological mastery. Perhaps our planet became uninhabitable, or perhaps we simply reached a point where the body was no longer necessary in its current form. In this version of time, the Greys may be a post-biological evolution of humans, and their frequent appearances in modern abduction accounts may not be experiments from the stars, but data collection from the past. They may be trying to retrieve something lost. Reconnect with a genetic version of humanity they no longer possess. This idea is both airy and strangely tender. The Greys, distant and clinical as they appear, might be desperate descendants, reaching back through time to understand where they came from, or to preserve what they've forgotten. The Zeta Reticuli connection comes largely from the Betty and Barney Hill abduction case in 1961, where Betty described being shown a star map by her captors. Years later, amateur astronomers noted that her sketch closely matched the configuration of stars in Zeta Reticuli, a pair of sun-like stars relatively close to Earth, but hidden by deep space until technology advanced. Why would future humans associate themselves with Zeta Reticuli? One theory is that they did colonise that system and now use it as a base of operations, a halfway point between what was and what will be. Another theory suggests that time travel itself requires a fixed point outside Earth's time stream to anchor into, and Zeta Reticuli, with its unique gravitational field and binary orbit, may provide the necessary physics to tether temporal jumps. The Greys' features, large heads, weak bodies, black eyes, could be a natural adaptation to artificial environments, long-term zero gravity, or even evolution in a digital world where physical presence became secondary. Their coldness might not be cruelty, but the absence of what we call emotion, something they no longer understand, and perhaps long to reclaim. Some abductees report being shown visions of Earth in ruin, floods, fires, lifeless skies. Others say they were told they are special, carriers of something vital. These encounters, often dreamlike, suggest a program not of invasion but of preservation. Perhaps the Greys aren't studying us, but trying to become us again. As you relax deeper now, imagine the night sky from their point of view, not as a distant realm to explore, but as a memory to restore. Imagine drifting backward through time, not in a spaceship, but in consciousness, visiting the past not to change it, but to feel it again. Maybe the Greys are not warning us of the future. Maybe they are the future, quietly hoping we remember how to stay human. Maybe every strange encounter, every unexplained light in the sky, every soft whisper in the dark is not a threat, but a reaching hand extended not across galaxies, but across the forgotten corridors of time. This next theory drifts into the surreal and the sublime. It's called the simulation hypothesis, alien edition, and it suggests that what we experience as reality, every sound, every star, every breath, may not be a physical universe at all, but a simulation orchestrated by intelligences far beyond our comprehension. While the idea of reality being simulated has been explored by philosophers and physicists alike, this particular theory takes a more cosmic approach. It proposes that the architects of this reality are not human, not machines, but extraterrestrial beings, not from another planet, but from a higher dimension of existence entirely. Think of it not as a computer program, but as an exquisitely layered reality engine, where time is a loop, space is elastic, and we are both players and pieces on a game board, designed to evolve consciousness. In this version, the aliens aren't invaders or watchers, they are the creators. Not in the religious sense, but as advanced entities who reached such a high level of technological and spiritual development that they began to weave universes. Not just for control or amusement, but as laboratories of growth, worlds sculpted to see how life unfolds under different conditions. Earth, then, would be one simulation among countless others, each tuned slightly differently, each experimenting with variables like love, fear, chaos, and time. The evidence, some say, is in the code. Physicists have found strange mathematical symmetries at the quantum level. repeating patterns, limitations, and behaviours that suggest the universe functions like a digital construct, bits of information rather than particles of matter. If the universe truly is based on code, then someone or something must have written it. The alien simulation hypothesis imagines a council of advanced minds existing in a realm beyond dimensions who designed our world not to trap us, but to see if we could remember what we are. That's why there are clues, they say, strange synchronicities, déjà vu, moments where time stutters or reality bends. Glitches, these are not flaws but messages, small tears in the veil, reminding us to look deeper. Perhaps UFO sightings, abduction accounts, even dreams of otherworldly beings are not visitations in the traditional sense, but interventions, patches in the simulation, adjustments made when the code needs a nudge. Some versions of the theory suggest that only a portion of the population is rendered fully, while the rest are procedural, background figures. Not in a cold or dismissive way, but as part of a system designed to focus experience. You are perhaps the observer, and the simulation exists through your perception. There is poetry in this thought, that you are not alone, but connected to something vast and intricate, that your fears, your joys, your late night questions, they are signals in the code. The alien creators in this theory may never appear in ships or messages, they may never speak in words, but they encoded their presence in beauty, in mathematics, in the ache of a sunset, and the quiet weight of stars. As you rest now, allow your thoughts to blur and soften. Imagine that this life is not a prison, but a simulation of learning, a dream gently guided by alien minds who remember every version of you. Maybe you chose this world. Maybe you wanted to forget, just for a while, what you truly are. And maybe, just maybe, in these quiet hours between sleep and waking, you're starting to remember. This next idea is called the Forgotten Civilizations of Mars, and it rises like red dust on a cold desert wind, whispering of ancient cities, broken temples, and the slow decay of something once grand, not on Earth, but on our neighbouring planet, waiting in silence for someone to notice. Mars, the red planet, has long been a symbol of war and wonder, a barren world, dead and dry. But what if it wasn't always so? What if, millions of years ago, Mars was alive, not just with bacteria or microbes, but with a thriving civilization, intelligent and advanced, whose echoes still cling to the dust and stone? This theory suggests that Mars may have once been a sister world to Earth, orbiting the same star, sharing similar conditions, and perhaps even life. Some researchers point to ancient riverbeds, signs of once flowing water, and mineral formations that suggest oceans and atmospheres long vanished. But more compelling and softly unsettling are the images. In photographs taken by probes and rovers, keen observers have noted anomalies, structures that appear geometric, unnatural, pyramids, domes, grids, etched into the surface. The famous face on Mars, captured by Viking 1 in 1976, became the focal point of this theory. While later images have softened its features, the idea remains that an entire region, known as Cydonia, may contain remnants of an ancient Martian city buried and eroded by time. The symmetry between some structures, the mathematical relationships, the orientation to the Martian poles, all have led theorists to suggest this wasn't the work of chance but of design. But who were they, and where did they go? One idea is that the Martians were not alien in the way we think, but humanoid, perhaps even ancestral to us, that they achieved great technological heights and through war or environmental collapse, destroyed their own biosphere. In desperation, they turned their gaze to the blue world nearby, Earth. Perhaps they came here long ago, not as invaders but as refugees. Their descendants may be among us now, unaware of their cosmic origins. Another possibility is that a catastrophic event, perhaps a solar flare, a shift in magnetic fields, or even a planetary collision, wiped the atmosphere from Mars, freezing everything in place. The civilization, unable to survive, collapsed and was consumed by the planet's slow decay. But traces remain. Some theorists believe the Martian ruins aren't entirely dead. Dormant technology lies beneath the surface, waiting. Structures that pulse gently with time, drawing energy from the weak Martian sun, like hearts that refuse to stop beating. And then there is the question of memory, of why Earth's oldest cultures speak of gods from the sky, red planets and visitors who came bearing knowledge. The Sumerians, Egyptians, and Mayans all revered the heavens and spoke of star-born ancestors. Were they remembering something or someone? Perhaps their teachers were not gods but survivors. As you sink deeper now into stillness, imagine a city beneath the Martian dust. Towers long collapsed, staircases leading nowhere, monuments to a time before time before time. And imagine that somewhere, under all that red silence, a door still waits to be opened. Not by chance, but by recognition. By a species that finally looks up and remembers not who is out there, but who we used to be. Maybe we are the Martians. Maybe Earth is not our origin but our second chance. And maybe the red planet will one day welcome us home. Let us now drift even further, beyond memory, beyond myth, into the theory of the soul particle. It's an idea so quietly radical, it slips past the noise of modern science, settling not in textbooks or journals, but in dreams. This theory proposes something bold. That consciousness, your awareness, your you, isn't merely a product of biology, but something far older, deeper, and far more elusive. A fundamental particle of the universe, not metaphorically, but physically. Just as atoms build the visible and quarks hide within protons, so too might the universe contain an even more mysterious layer. The soul particle, a quantum of awareness, sprinkled like cosmic dust across space and time. Physicists speak of the Planck scale, the smallest units of length and time, where space itself shimmers with uncertainty. It's here, at the edge of reality, that this theory places the soul particle, indivisible, undetectable, but absolutely essential. Unlike photons or electrons, soul particles don't carry energy or charge. They carry experience, memory, identity. They are not created. They are eternal, migrating, always observing. According to this theory, every living being isn't generating consciousness, it's housing it. Acting like an antenna. Your brain, a receiver. Your personality, a reflection of the soul particle's entanglement with biology. Death, then, is not an ending, but a disconnection, a release. The soul particle floats on, slipping between worlds, waiting for a new vessel. This idea finds strange harmony with ancient beliefs, from the Hindu concept of Atman, to the Egyptian Ka, to Plato's immortal soul. But here, those myths are reframed as physics, not faith. Some theorists whisper that dark matter, the invisible mass surrounding galaxies, might be these particles, and that consciousness isn't rare, but everywhere, woven into the very structure of the universe. Some physicists, flirting with quantum mechanics and metaphysics, even speculate that the act of observation, which shapes reality at the quantum level, is the soul particle doing what it does best, being aware. Now, rest your mind for a moment. Feel that quiet self inside you. The part that watches your thoughts, listens behind the noise, and never quite sleeps. That's not your brain, that might be the particle. The same one that once drifted through a cave-dwelling ancestor. Same one that once blinked through the eyes of a sailor, a priest, a stranger. The same one that might, one day, awaken in a world beyond this one, with no memory but a familiar ache, a feeling of I've been here before. So as you fall deeper into rest, ask yourself not what you are, but who you've always been. Perhaps not a body, not even a mind, but a single shimmering soul particle floating gently through the universe, remembering. Now, let yourself sink into that stillness, the kind of stillness that exists just before a star is born. Because the universe doesn't rush, it hums, pulses, and waits just like you do, in moments between waking and sleep. There's one last idea to explore before your dreams take over: the sleep cycle of the cosmos. Strange as it sounds, some cosmologists have wondered, what if the universe itself sleeps, not metaphorically, but literally enters phases of dormancy? After all, everything in nature obeys cycles. Planets spin, moons wax and wane, species hibernate, even atoms oscillate. Why should the universe be any different? In this theory, existence pulses between long, slow waves of activity and rest. We're living in one of the wakeful epochs. Stars are burning, galaxies dancing, life unfolding. But eventually, the universe may grow tired. Expansion will stretch space until galaxies drift so far apart their light never meets. Stars will burn out one by one until only cinders remain. This isn't a doomsday. It's more like a sigh, the universe exhaling. Then, in unimaginable silence, comes the cosmic night. Black holes evaporate. Time slows. Entropy flattens everything. All motion ceases. It's not death, it's sleep. A sleep so deep it might last trillions of years, and then, just maybe, a spark, a fluctuation. A particle winks into being, the universe dreams again. Maybe it dreams of you. You, made of stars, wired by evolution, animated by a whisper of awareness, a soul particle, a flicker of observation. You are the echo of ancient light, the breath of collapsing stars, the memory of something far, far older than the world. And as your body softens into rest, as your thoughts quiet like distant static, the universe tucks itself around you like a blanket, because in this moment, you are it. You are the cosmos gently falling asleep, so close your eyes, float, drift, and let the ancient particle within you dream until it awakens once more. Somewhere new, someone else. Good night. Beneath the frozen shell of Europa, one of Jupiter's mysterious moons, lies an ocean so vast it could contain twice the water of all Earth's seas combined, and somewhere within its salty, silent expanse, whispers persist of intelligent life sculpting their world not with machines or stone, but with the subtle art of electromagnetic resonance. As we drift deeper into tonight's story, let's explore a theory both serene and surreal, the idea that alien intelligences may dwell beneath Europa's crust, using bioluminescent pulses and magnetic fields to communicate, navigate, and even shape the very currents of their subsurface realm. These beings, often referred to as the Aurora Architects, are believed by some fringe xenobiologists to have evolved under high pressure, in complete darkness, developing not eyes or language, but a biological attunement to magnetic shifts, sonar harmonics, and faint radiation from Jupiter's immense magnetosphere. The theory suggests that what we see as dazzling auroras rippling across Europa's skies may in part be artificial signals, vast electromagnetic mosaics constructed by these beings to mark seasons, migrations, or even celestial alignments. Imagine a civilization where cities are not built, but swirled gently into existence by harmonized currents, where thought is broadcast not by words but through coordinated waves of glowing plankton, and history is remembered not on paper but in mineral patterns laid gently across the ocean floor. It's said that NASA Galileo mission detected strange, recurring anomalies in Europa's magnetic field, pulses that some believe might be rhythmic, a language perhaps encoded in planetary breath. There is no hard evidence, only data quirks and poetic speculation. But in the gentle rhythm of Europa's icy tides, believers find the heartbeat of a hidden society. According to this theory, the Aurora Architects might be entirely unaware of us, or perhaps they observe us the way we observe stars, curious, distant and unsure if we are truly alive. Correlations between distant quantum fields, a subtle non-randomness embedded in the fabric of space. Not readable, not recoverable in any classical sense, but still there, like fingerprints left in stone. Imagine the structure of a star, encoded not in light or matter, but in the statistical correlations between virtual particles in empty space, a song, a memory, a heartbeat, preserved as interference patterns in the zero-point field. These are not physical things. They are ghosts echoing through silence. And if our entire universe is a quantum system, then every interaction, every movement, every thought you've ever had is entangled in that total wave function. That wave function might decohere, it might fade, but it does not forget. You too are one of these ghosts. Your atoms will fall apart, your photons will stretch. But the fact that you were here, sitting, listening, breathing in this story, can never truly be unhappened. You were, and thus in the fabric of quantum history, you always will be. In this hauntingly beautiful idea, death is not deletion, it is diffusion, and so as you drift deeper into sleep, picture the quiet remnants of reality still whispering across the void, not shouting, not begging, but simply being. Traces of love, war, laughter, pain, all diffused into the subtle shimmer of quantum frost on the skin of time. We end not with a bang, nor a whimper, but with a flicker, the last spark, the ghost of being. Rest now. Let the silence hold you. Not through galaxies or stars, but through pure abstraction, through silence so deep it becomes a rhythm, a kind of sleep. The universe is no longer expanding or contracting. Time itself has lost meaning, stretched so far that cause and effect become strangers. There is no up or down, no heat, no thought, and yet the canvas of existence remains cold and blank, waiting. Some physicists whisper of eternal recurrence, that in the far, far future, Random fluctuations in this infinite stillness might one day produce, by sheer statistical accident, a single thought, then perhaps a cell, a star, maybe even a conscious mind, maybe even you. They call these Boltzmann brains brief, spontaneous configurations of particles that form and dissolve, like hallucinations in the mind of nothingness. But even these, fleeting as they are, prove something extraordinary. The universe may be silent, but it is not forgetful. Perhaps reality is like a dream that never truly ends, only changes form. You are part of that dream. Your memories, your stardust, your spark, once kindled in the fires of dying stars, echo in ways no eye will see, but that still shape the breath of eternity. Somewhere, maybe beyond the cosmic horizon, another universe is blooming. Or this one is beginning again, or still ending. Time loops. Space folds. The quantum fabric doesn't care for our craving for beginnings and endings. It just continues. And you, dear listener, are still floating in it. As sleep pulls at your thoughts, as your body relaxes into warmth and weightlessness, imagine the universe not as a machine, but as a lullaby. Every particle a note, every law of physics a rhythm. You are part of that lullaby. The cosmos is not cold, it is vast. And in its vastness you were loved into being by chance, gravity, fusion, chaos and light. And that love, that improbable cascade of causes, never wasted, never truly lost. In the hush of everything the universe dreams, and in that dream you are safe, you are home. Good night.